Welcome back. And I don't want to waste any of your time, so let's hop right into it. Now, in the previous part, we left off on the duality that gives birth to the Trinity. This is important because this is the string theory. This is actually not only the shape of our cosmos, but the formula, because this shape is also a vibration. It's also a sound. It's also a symbol. It's also a equation. It's so much on so many levels, exposing the fractal nature of our existence. Now, when you think about this, there's no literal shape of an infinite reality created purely by conscious. Each and every last thing that is conscious is a mirror expression of that subconscious source. The duat to the creation story would be the dance between knowing and unknowing. The creator created everything, and to do that had to know everything, but to experience everything had to reduce itself to knowing what we would say is nothing or very little. So even within a baby that knows nothing is the knowledge of everything, being that the forces that's making the baby heart beat and making the baby body grow comes from the subconscious. There's a hidden intelligence inside of the body itself. In other words, you go to school to learn about your body, but your body don't go to school to learn about itself, to be your body and to healing wounds that open up and to making your immune system fighting your heartbeat and to know when to produce sweat. I mean, your body do this automatically. Is nothing you tell your body to do. There's a subconscious intelligence, and without that subconscious or invisible divine intelligence, there's no physicality. So if you're all about dealing with what you can detect, you're so disconnected from the realms of nature, which leads into the dark realms, the non-detectable realms. When we say non-detectable, only meaning with the physical apparatuses. When you finally say to yourself, I want to see what my reality really is, then to really see what your reality really is to actually close your eyes and to think about it deeply. And the deeper you go, the more you reveal or reveal. Again, when you take the veil off of a bride, it's a form of an eclipse revealing the black hole sun, which is the source of all creation on a microcosm when we deal with the wandering stars. But on a macrocosm, it's just a miniature expression of that darkness behind the stars, the same darkness behind your eyelids. It's not a color, it's a force. It's the ruler, therefore cannot be measured. Now, I think this is one of the big secrets to Masonry, because they all about measurements, they all about the ruler, they all about the square and the compass. But again, at the end of all science, you reach belief. In other words, the mystery of it all predates the facts. In other words, the question that you don't know predates the answer that you find out. The question gave birth to the fact. But the moment you get the fact, the quest end, or the question ends, because you ask a new question and begin a new quest. It's these questions about the above that has always dictated the below on our earth. And it goes back to what I said about is not what you see with your two eyes, but what you interpret what you see with your two eyes. And when you fail to interpret it yourself and let someone else interpret your reality, that person can then distort your reality. They can convince you anything they want to convince you about the creation, therefore convincing you about the nature of the creator, placing themselves as the voice of God, because the interpreters of God now become God. So again, they creating their world within a world, and that's what the matrix is. What I'm doing with sacred geometry and ancient cosmology is stimulating the third eye with the visuals, taking you away from the dialogue and taking you back to the quest that was ended when they gave you the globe. because the binary code is the ancient cosmology, or what's called a cosmic egg. And with an egg or a seed concept is the science of continuation, or in other words, infinity. One seed will produce thousands, and those thousands, millions. When you keep putting those in the ground, it's abundance. So scarcity is an illusion that only exists in the mind. And for those of you who have been following me, you understand that the word Mason means traveling men, and that the earth was said to be by most ancients an extended plane with no known edges. Therefore, there could be infinite amounts of lands that could exist. There are ancient maps that show other lands that's been hidden by what? Not a big old gate around continents, but a mental concept called a globe that keeps all of us in one location, believing that we're spinning, when the spin only exists in the mind but cannot be detected in the reality, because the creation that gave birth to the spin was the theory. Now, the root word of theory is theo, and theo means God. The scientist is the interpreter in between man and the creation. So Scion is Zion. The scientist is the voice of the Most High, the one who proclaims to have the mysteries of the cosmos. And that would be modern day Jesus, one that came here in the flesh with the mysteries of the knowledge above. That would be God in the flesh, the chosen one. Your scientists, they are the ones who interpret the creation for you. Who can interpret the creation for you other than the creator? The crazy thing is that the creator doesn't speak a language. The creator speaks a symbol form of language that is visual. A baby knows to be attracted to the nipples of the mother because of the arch shape. Nature created shapes and designs that work directly with the subconscious. Pictures are worth 1,000 words, but symbols are worth 1,000,000 pictures, which leads us into the second part of this series, where we get into Masonic symbolism, sacred geometry, and how it relates to the cosmos. So they're able to control what happens on Earth by controlling what happens above your head. Now, they don't have to physically control the stars, the sun, and the moon, even though we know they're trying to create a lot of technology to physically do that. But listen, they don't have to physically do that if they can just reinterpret and redefine what it is you're seeing above your head. The crown with the most jewels in it symbolizes the most wisdom, or knowledge of the dome, wise dome. To dominate is to understand the secrets of the dome, and by doing so, proclaim the knowledge of the heavens. Every man that ever walked this earth and proclaimed the knowledge of the heavens in antiquity was considered a god or a guide. You can follow someone who knows the knowledge of the heavens. And the god or the guide became the scientist to interpret the above to the masses, therefore giving us an understanding of how it relates to the below. In antiquity, people of high status in society were those with the most knowledge of the cosmos, and this was very needed on a physical level, dealing with navigation, as well as a spiritual level, dealing with the earth's chemistry and how it correlates to you, the human, which is directly connected to the earth and all of its elements. There's a place in the cosmos where all elements reside based on their own weight, mass, and relation and density. The cosmos is separated based on the ether, or the medium by which all things in the cosmos exist. So when you look at Earth in the ancient conceptions, what you see is us existing on the surface, and above us is a gaseous atmosphere. And the more we go beneath us, the more dense it seems to get, at least according to scientists. But what we see here is natural organization based on certain laws. All things sink or float based on their own weight, their own mass. Things fall different in water based on the medium. We cannot forget the medium. Now, with that being said, Earth splits the cosmos right in the center. The words Earth means heart. Okay, Earth is heart. And where you reside is the stage of consciousness. And it's where all of the energy in our reality marries itself, where water, fire, wind, and all of these elements marry themselves to create you, the human. We know fire exists, water exists, all of these elements exist in their separate states. But when you look at a human, you're looking at the marriage of air, the marriage of water with air, and fire being the nervous system, and gas. And you're looking at rock physicality. You're looking at everything in the cosmos existing in one vortex, where these things intersect to form an event, the human, which comes from the womb out of darkness. Now, what existed before you was the thought. You existed as pure consciousness. The possibility of you is the seed, what keeps you keep reappearing in the flesh. You are a concept, a cosmic fingerprint, a simple thought of the Creator, each and every last one of you. So at any given moment when that thought seems to go out of existence on a physical plane, remember that each and every last one of you humans are physical entities that not only exist as a physical entity, but a spiritual entity, a thought entity. There's so many aspects of you and representatives of you, just like there's so many aspects to the seed. There's so many phases of the seed. The seed goes into the ground and it becomes the tree, which is also the roots, the trunk, the branches, and the leaves, and also more seeds. And then it goes back into the ground and keep doing it again and again. This is what you are. The part of you that you can't see or seem to can't detect in this so-called physical environment is the direct essence of you, the part of you that keeps you here in the flesh. In other words, the spirit can't exist without the flesh can't exist without the spirit. There's one creation, and it has no separate parts of itself. It's a woven together fabric of everything that you can think of there is, being spirit, consciousness, matter, flesh, wind, fire, direction. Everything there is that makes up everything intersects at the center of this cosmos, and there's a magnetic vortex that we call the North Pole. North is up, or the seat of the primordial source. North is up on flat earth, but on a globe, north can be anywhere. In ancient cosmology, the earth is a temple with a direction pointing you toward the Most High, to the center and up. Just like you being in the middle of a temple is where all of the energy is, okay? Because you're beneath the zenith. Remember that the zenith is the seat of the soul, the third eye. And this goes back into the earth shaped like a dome. Sanctuary shaped like a dome. We treat the sanctuaries better than the earth because the rulers are able to dominate based on what they teach in the sanctuaries. The ancestors treated the earth better because the earth was the original sanctuary before we took from her to build buildings. So the Masons of today doesn't create a world that puts humanity in harmony with nature. The world we create keeps us in discord with nature, fighting against her, and keeps a very few men rich as a byproduct of that chaos. This dialectic has been going on for thousands of years, and the controllers have shrouded their methods in secrecy, but the concepts are very simple. It's the language that's complex, which is really not complex when we begin to decode the symbols. Decoding the symbols with the third eye is what's called a holy grail. The holy grail is not a physical object, but a concept, an action one takes to define their own reality. So when we talk about the Masons being travelers, it's not the fact that they're physical travelers being astronauts and all of these things, which plays a very huge role, but the fact that they have already traveled the depths of the human psyche and the human mind, and they have the best of the best in society to study the mind, to know what questions that the human is going to ask. So when you talk about a quest, you talk about a physical journey, but when you talk about a question, you talk about a spiritual journey. So the spiritual journey dictates the physical journey, because if you don't ask the right questions, you don't even know where to physically go. So that's the seed, is the question. The seed is what you don't see. Remember, it goes back into darkness in the soil. The intelligence is hidden in the seed. Now, what you don't see in the little bitty seed is the huge tree that it becomes. I mean, trees so big you can drive a car through the trunk of them. Started off as a seed that you can barely see. This is the hidden information which gives birth to the unhidden reality. The divine intelligence that's all around you, which goes back to the intelligence that's telling the body subconsciously to pump blood from the heart. And you don't have to tell it to do that. You don't have to tell the body to heal itself. There's a hidden you that knows what the unhidden you is trying to find out. But this dance is what keep you on a quest. And the moment the quest stop, ain't no need to live. So it's all about the journey, not the end result. And the reason I say that, because what you think is the end result is just the beginning of a new journey. And this is going back into the string theory concept, where we're braiding a pattern here. A three-man weave. You have a reality that you go out and partake in when you open your eyes every day. And you also have a reality that you go partake in when you close your eyes every night, in the dream realm. As above, so below. Just like you can see a lot with your eyes open, you can see even more when you close your eyes and think about that which you saw. That's called balancing the scales, going back to the darkness, letting the third eye work out the visual. But if someone has residency over that part of the human, then they are able to interpret the reality that's being perceived through the eyes, creating a matrix based upon a reality that's agreed upon with consensus and believed in, because it's founded with theories, not facts, not reality. So now that we know how the controllers are able to achieve the matrix, and how they're able to disconnect the human from itself by disconnecting the human from the cosmos, by giving you the false cosmology, as above, so below. The best way to kill a tree is to cut the roots. And if you think about our connection with the Creator, we interpret the Creator by interfacing with the creation. So again, it's so important for me to reiterate that if someone interprets the creation for you, they are in essence thinking for you, shaping your reality for you. And if you don't agree with it, then you're a dummy. You're not part of the agreed on consensus. You're not part of the masses, the popular status quo. You know, you want to go out and think for yourself, so you want to think outside of the box. What creates the box is consensus. Is you not closing your eyes, interpreting the reality for yourself. You spending 1,000 miles per hour, not taking one moment to be quiet and question. They got us away from meditating and into praying, where we're just babbling on to the Creator when the Creator knows all. You don't go to the Creator to speak. You go to listen. That darkness that you go to when you close your eyes, you're going into your own darkness, helping yourself. Then you got to know your way through the valley of the shadow of death. And if they can get you disconnected from that darkness with fear, then your response would be to accept the deity to save you from that darkness, to keep the light switch on. They want to keep perpetuating this reality of fear, cosmological fear that disconnects us from the Creator. When you pray, you're getting preyed upon. You're giving your energy to these elite magicians because their deity is a blended deity of all of the deities on earth. They're actually siphoning that energy of fear. We're running to the deities that were created by them. This is why the Masons have a union of every deity. They all work together no matter what deity they have, because Masonry itself is a religion and they can't put that before their personal religions. But this is what they convince us all to do, to treat our sanctuaries better than the earth that we live on, putting our personal beliefs before our universal truths that connects us all. So we'll go to war and we'll fight on who God is the real sky god when we all share the same water that's being polluted. When our temples are cleaner than the water we drink, we are in trouble. We're disconnected from the true Creator. And they have us divided and conquered with creators that govern the matrix. So the ancient creators brought forth that unity on earth. There was a time where all of the shades of man were united under Mother Nature, and we worked in unison with her. There was an all-vegan planet at one point that was dominated by women gardeners as opposed to male hunters. Now, I talk about this on previous videos, so please explore my channel, look into her story versus his story and the Garden of Eden concepts. I go into this. Remember that to think outside the box is to disconnect yourself from the matrix. Now, the box is only a prison that they built for you based upon to get you agreeing with the masses and consensus, and they indoctrinated you ever since birth, just like Neo in the Matrix. The key is the questions. See, it's these questions that keeps us on the quest, and the quest is what keep your feet moving away from their deception. The Matrix is created by the inability of the masses to question the reality that was given to them by their controllers. We understand that to question these realities is to also accept the highest degree of scrutiny and criticism, and you're often mocked. Therefore, no one does it, not even in religion or popular science. So there are ways they maintain this lack of questioning, which keeps everyone stand still and stagnant, failing to quest. So you're essentially trapped in their box of belief. It's a prison. The key to escaping is questioning. Staying open-minded is the key. And the thing about it is, if you think of a box and you're thinking outside of the box and you're unfolding that box, you would then create a cross. That cross is symbolic of what happens when you think outside of the box or unfold the Rubik's cubes. You then get crucified by the masses, and this is your initiation into the early phases of the occult. All of us are occultists because you're on a quest and your quest began in a dark place. Don't let the words fool you. The word magician is from the word mad guy, dealing with imagination, dealing with the word ma and gypsy. Now, I don't want to get off subject. This is a future video I'm going to do on Cobra gypsies and Egyptians. All of the symbolism that's associated with the ancient Egyptians is the same symbolism we see in India that we see associated with the Cobra gypsies. They are the same people, and what we call it Egyptians were a rainbow group of people similar to America today. All shades of people who understood one understanding with one social value construct and things of that nature, and etc. The deception of history is making the Egyptians either all white or all black when it was just like America. It was a very booming place to be, melting pot just like today. But the knowledge was more abundant. there were big universities, even though during these times there were still those who was hiding some of the upper degrees of knowledge. We see today these things are resurfacing based on the internet. And the word Google deal with the concepts of infinite consciousness and the Akashic records and the subconscious. And I gotta remember to do a video on that in the future. Everything is surfacing around in the continuum, and the matrix they created is gonna crash in upon itself because they can only control the conscious. They can fool the subconscious only for a little while because the subconscious is infinite and the conscious is finite. You will come into realities or reincarnate for eternity, according to the ancients. But each time, you're gonna have to learn a new reality based on this same old cosmos being interpreted in another way now. The cosmos never really changes, only the perception. There's a still aspect and a non-still aspect, going back to the knowing and the unknowing, going back to the earth plane being still but the celestial sphere being in motion, going back to the body lays down at night in stillness but the dream body runs wild and free. Is there a separate consciousness that exists within a consciousness, and there's a continuum going on? I would like to say yes. And this is what infinity is. So hard to explain without the symbol, without the proper dialogue that ties everything together. And when you tie everything together, that's the practice of string theory. We're stringing it all together. We're weaving a basket. We're tapping into feminine energy because they are the ones who braid the hair and weave and they knit things. And when you say knit, you're saying night. So the night or the darkness is what you go to knit new ideas together. All of the cells and highways on the brain start bursting and creating new networks. And you open your eyes, and now it's time to put that idea into manifestation. Boom, a new invention from the darkness. Because it was woven together by the creator that weaves together each idea, just like grandma making a quilt or a basket. She is the one who knitted the abstract pattern of the night stars. She is the one who we call nut or knit, which is also a verb. Learn how to weave together all of the polarities in your reality so that you awaken the third eye and graduate from the many polarities into the Trinitarian view, which shows you how all of these are one thing, which shows you how each unique organ forms the one human body, just like each unique human and each unique thing in the creation form the one creator. So when we deal with this knit energy or night energy, we're talking string theory, weaving together manifestations, the act of creating. Left brain, right brain are being knitted or woven together to become one. When that happens, the seat of the soul is what's revealed, the third eye, which is the crown of the left and right brain, a ruler of them both. So it goes back to even how the elements are arranged in our cosmos, this braiding, this organized knitting of the atmosphere being married to the surface of the ocean, which is being married to the rocky depths of the bowels of the earth. Each one of these are links to the chain, and no matter how high up you go, it's a pattern that would repeat itself in sequential order. So I would argue that the higher up you go, the less dense it would get. But based on that, the more dense it would get. Sort of like journeying inward to go outward. Or like the ancestors had a symbol to portray what I'm trying to say, and it was the dragon eating its tail, or the Ouroboros, which is famous in NASA and in ancient Egypt. This is a form of string theory. Nothing never really ends. There's no such thing as an ending, but only new beginnings. And when we say new beginnings, we're saying in you, dealing with the night sky, because in between all of these creation phases is a blink. You perceive reality in clips. If you think about a 24-hour day, you would have to add up every time you blink throughout that day, and that would actually equal out to about an hour. So you lose a lot of your reality just by blinking. You don't see your reality as one long movie. You see it in clips, and your subconscious piece together those clips. Each clip is a symbol. It becomes a symbol, a Kodak moment. Based on how you interpret it is what you really see. It goes into the left and right brain, and being able to go within that dark area and make rational decisions, neutral decisions. Often the decision that benefits both sides is the best one. And that's where we should go back to the laws of nature, where man should live in yin-yang harmony with nature as opposed to against nature. Because if the relationship benefits us and nature, that's when infinity is created. 50-50, remembering that if the earth is taking care of man, man should have practices that take care of earth. It's amazing how today's humans are less smarter than the bees in a beehive. The symbol of Freemasonry is the bee, because the bees practice this symbiotic relationship with the queen. They have a matriarchal system just like humanity have with Mother Nature. In a beehive, every bee protects the queen. They will give their life for the queen because they know something we don't know. You know that when a bee stings you, the bee die. The bee knows it's gonna die, but it still stings you. Why is the bee so fearless? What does the bee know about the afterlife that the human don't know? See, the bee know if it protects the queen, it's just gonna re-emerge through the queen again. It's a process. The bee don't have a concept of an ending. The bee only knows new beginnings. This is string theory. When you close these eyes, a new set open. There's always an observer. So the thing is this: Mother Earth is the divine womb. She's the stage of consciousness. And from this stage, which was called Midgard, and the reason why humans are called mediums, we exist in a mid-realm. Earth is heart. And from this realm, you can tap into the crown chakra and the root chakra and tap into the heart chakra where they intersect. Now, the heart chakra is the chakra that's necessary to govern and dictate politics in this plane, simply because the earth itself is the heart chakra of the Most High. So the crown on the king's head is a visual representation of the hidden wisdom in his head that you can't see. That hidden wisdom inside of the king's head is what led to him getting the visual crown that you see on top of his head. If you think about Polaris being the most high when it comes to the luminaries, nothing would supersede Polaris but the darkness itself. In other words, the only thing sits behind Polaris would be the darkness. This is symbiotic of the king with the crown of wisdom, or the elderly person with the gray hair. And the gray hair is the physical crown that we see of wisdom, symbolizing seniority. So the gray hair is directly linked to the silvery color of the moon. And the moon is the one with the wisdom or the hidden knowledge. The sun is a projection of the moon. It's a more dense form of that original thought. If you trace this original source all the way back, you would end up at the stars, which would be the Elohim, or this plural creator, which was created by this singular source that they give you in the Big Bang. That singular source would be the darkness, or Nut, the sound, the voice that spoke the light switch on. In all cosmologies, for example, the Genesis story starts off with darkness. That darkness had a voice. It was feminine because sound is wave. It's the curve that was now cursed. So the root word of cure, meaning something that can cure you, and the root word of curved and the root word of curse are all the same. When you deal with cursive writing, it's a curvy style of writing, feminine writing. And it's the cursive style of writing that's called your signature that you're used to seal an agreement, because it's the curvy part of the cosmos, what's the covenant, or the archdome, which is nut. So the arch is the covenant. It's the coven ant. If you research what a coven is a trinity of witches. So it's a compact, it's an agreement. And you know, when you have an agreement, it's two sides and one witness. That's the Trinity. There's always, see, it goes back to the original story where it started off with that singularity, which was darkness. That darkness became conscious of itself, and that's when the light switch came on. Now, when that darkness started communing with the light, the product was reality. That conversation is the music of reality, the vibration that keeps everything going today. And while we even talking about it now, it's been the conversation that sustained it all anyway. Remember, the questions is what make the scientists, not the answer. It was not the creator that had all of the answers that created creation. It was the part of the creator that asked the questions. So it go back to what I'm telling you, that this divine feminine source, this night energy, this darkness has a dual state. And this dual state gives birth to a trinity, just like the human have a left side and a right side, or left eye and a right eye. It's the polarity that when they marry each other gives forth the manifestation of what we call man. Man is a trinity, meaning a marriage of two polarities. And as a result of these two polarities, man is being emanated on this plane from the inside out, outside in. So the darkness you looking up at behind the stars is the same darkness you go to at night behind your eyelids when you sleep. And just like the creator created a reality with the sun shining and beaches and waterfalls, and the darkness in the sky is the background of all of that, just like you go to sleep at night and shut your eyes, and in that darkness you flying all above California, man, the sun shining, you at the beach. It ain't till you wake up till you realize it was a dream, because you are a microcosm of that same creator that created this reality that we all agreeing upon. Again, a covenant, because every human being that came to this realm agreed into this collective consciousness to partake in this reality. You chose your parents didn't choose you. So they give the cupids the bow and arrow because that's the 0 and the 1, the sperm and the egg. You existed in a dual state. The ending has the beginning and the middle included in it. When you're in the middle, you can only look ahead of you and guess what the future is, and behind you, you already know what the past was. The thing about the ending is that it holds the beginning as well. Just like the mama holds the beginning, which is the son or the child. She holds that beginning inside of her belly. That's the beginning of a whole new person, a whole new cosmos in her. She holds that beginning, that newness, that innocence. But she takes with her the mystery of it all. Whatever that baby's gonna be is gonna be dictated by what the mother teaches that baby. She's gonna play a crucial role on that blank canvas, which is already have the knowledge of everything in it, but will interpret the knowledge of everything based on the dictates of the mother. But the baby don't have to learn how to be the baby, and the mother don't have to teach the baby how to find the nipple, because the baby already got a connection with this reality that's subconscious. that the mother ain't gotta teach it. So based on what the mother teach it from this conscious realm and how it raised that seed, determine if you watering your seed with gasoline or water, determine how the plant grow, how it perceive the reality. Because the plant that's dead and the plant that's living healthy, growing good and green, still is on the same earth, but in different soil, different circumstances. Each of us is a drip of the ocean. No drip shaped the same. No drip is the same volume. No snowflake shapes the same. And man, there are infinite amounts of them. But they all originate from the same source, and they all end up as one when they melt and become water. All right, no matter where you take water, it would always be water, and it would always find itself in the realm of water. For example, if you scoop up a cup of water from the ocean and walk it out to the desert and leave it there, in a day or two, that water gonna evaporate, turn into gas, find itself back in the atmosphere and raining back into that body of ocean that it came from, because it is not where you take it, it's what it is. It's not where you go when you die, it's what you become. Energy don't go anywhere. It transitions just like a seed that you hold in your hand that becomes a tree. When you deal with the microcosm, it's an infinite realm all of itself, and it's just as huge as the macrocosm. Because when you zoom into a microscope, the scale changes. And when you say scale, that is the tool that's carried by the goddess Ma'at. On all of these levels, whether you zoom into a microcosm or zoom out at the stars at macrocosm, you see balance of those scales. You can zoom into these different realms and you can see how all of these different realms blend themselves together to create you. Because I can zoom in and see the microcosm world that makes up you. And it's a whole nother world of conscious entities that know something that's beyond you. Every last cell in your body is traveling through your veins with a consciousness. It know where to go. It know what it need to do. You got white cells, you got different type of cells in your bodies and different viruses, different bacteria. And guess what? They have a mind of their own. They are entities. That's consciousness. They know what to do or what not to do based on you, what you give them to work with based on the macrocosm. So that feeds the microcosm, and then the microcosm is a mirror reflection of what you put in your mouth dictates what those microscopic cells, the conversation they gonna be having with the body. And if they ain't communicating properly with the body, that's bad health based on what you put into the body. And the macrocosm dictates the conversation of those individual entities that make up the body on the microcosm. And then they mirror out what you put in. So now you got lack of energy. You got breakouts all over you from toxins. You got stuff on a surface level that shows what happened on a microscopic level. So the ancients knew that health was tied to spirituality, and normally what's plaguing a person with their health is something in their mental health first, but even before then, their spiritual health. So being that all of those things are under attack by the secret societies and the powers that be, Freemasons and the likes, is the importance of why I make videos like this, to give us back the hidden things that are being used against us. Microcosm and macrocosm is yin and yang. In the middle of them both is where the rubber meets the road, where life exists. Earth is where the heavens above meets the bowels of the underworlds below. The earth plane is the heart chakra of the creator. And in order to live properly on the earth plane, humans have to tap into their heart chakras. It's the center. It's the control center. Remember that the ship is being steered from the steering wheel, and you got to go to the middle or the center, the control board, to steer the doggone ship. But you got to be balanced. all of this stuff about tapping into your higher self and all of that, and why don't you tap into your lower self? Now you arguing about a polarity. Then Brother Sanchez come along and say, listen, why don't we just tap into our center self? Now this is what it means to be centered. Now when you become centered, you're a center. Yes, you're a center of creative consciousness, a reference point for the creator, a place where the creator can experience its creation with non-bias and not being subjected to the polarity, but the creator knows it's the creator and looks out at the creation and make rational decisions on how to interface with that. So as a result, we create heaven on earth, or balance on earth. Remember, heaven is even. We were kicked out of the Garden of Eden, or the Garden of Eden. Remember, the tree of life was cut down, meaning your third eye was shut. Someone gave you a new doctrine. They gave you a new dialogue to associate with the symbols that the subconscious already knew. I can walk up to you with a handful of seeds, and you won't know until you put that seed in the ground what kind of tree you gonna produce. Because the mystery of what the seed is hidden in the seed. The one who plants the seed holds the mystery of the seed. If the ocean is a sea of potential, the one that throws a pebble into that ocean creates a ripple effect. What happens with the ripple effect is a continuum. A lot of things happen. When the pebble goes in the water, there's an indentation on the water surface. And at the same time there's an indentation on the water surface, there's a drip that shoot up right above the indentation. That drip is taking a short journey from the surface of the water, and it's gonna go back into the indentation that's on the surface. Just like everybody came out of the darkness of their mother's womb, and they're gonna go back to the darkness of their own womb of their eyelids. The color pink is very revered when dealing with divine feminine worship. They desecrate the color in Western world behind the whole breast cancer bull crap. But basically it's what you see the Catholic Vatican, the popes and all of them with the pink cummerbunds on, dealing with the divine feminine, dealing with the inside of the human. All of your organs are pink, dealing with the fact that you came out of a pink canal, your mother's dark womb. When you look up at the night sky, you can look at it as how some ancestors looked at it, as the creator is meditating in the Zen position, and you are looking up at the darkness behind the eyelids of the creator. The light outside exists within. So when they say the creator is meditating, the creator is create its own light from within, just like you create your own daytime in a dream. So when you hear occult leaders and secret society members talk about Luciferian knowledge, it's nothing to be scared of. Luciferian is only dealing with lucid knowledge. You access Luciferian knowledge through experience. For example, when you lucid dream, you are practicing dark magic because you practice dark magic from the darkness. True dark magic is practiced from the dual realms in a conscious state. You can't practice dark magic if you don't, first of all, understand your connection with the darkness. I have had conscious experience where I lucid dream and realize I'm dreaming and begin to create within that reality, which also echoes within this reality. Who you are as a person can be improved based upon your ability to lucid dream. Luciferian knowledge is stuff we need to tap into. It's the knowledge of balance. Remember, Satan is Saturn, and Saturn is a symbol of yin-yang balance. The devil is the diva who carries the trident. And the only way balance can exist is by every medium or every human accessing the heart chakra. When every human on earth tap into the heart chakra, we activate the direct frequency we need to exist properly in balance on this plane. The earth is the heart chakra of the creator. and it's a very compassionate realm. Animals didn't always hunt each other. The idea of predator and prey didn't always exist in this realm. This was an abundant realm of infinity, sort of like what you read in the Garden of Eden. Sort of like whether it'll be once everyone tap back into their heart chakra. I say heart chakra because compassion is needed to maintain balance on earth. This is why they always show you on the left shoulder the angel, on the right shoulder the devil, because in this realm, you have to balance the scales. This is the mid realm where you can tap into all possibilities based on it being in the center. You got sort of a 360. Everything draws its energy from the center of this realm, being the North Pole where all compasses point. But everything in this realm got to tap into the center of themselves to restore balance in this realm called Midgard. It's literally that simple. And part of doing that is understanding that all of the symbols that the elite use to program our subconscious and to make us attached to divisive dialogue about the symbol. Once you take the concepts I'm using here on Bro Sanchez and further these teachings, what we will find is a universal connection among every symbol on the earth, because they're all just ancient sacred geometry that tells the same story in different times. Now, the elites took advantage of that at some point and used the dialogue. The written text is the beginnings of the New World Order. We broke our contract with the Most High when we went into the written text. The written text created the great seals and governments that bind us by contract and certificates today and keep us bonded by the binders. The book was the binder. When you're pressing a book, you're performing a ritual. Every pressing is a contract and it's a binding, and every book is a binder. Every time you purchase a book, you make an emotional attachment to that which you purchase with your money. That's why most people who read books recommend the books that they read, no matter if the books make sense or not, because we have an emotional attachment to things that we purchase. And the book is a bond. It's a binder. So you connect with the author, and no one never questions the author. They tend to worship the book and create perpetual dialogues with the text. That's what has happened throughout the ages. That was by design. So understanding that the printing press was the first form of mass media will help free your mind when you understand that part of the elite deception of today is controlling mass media, being TV and all of that stuff. Think about that. None of this stuff predate the printing press, which was the first form of mass media. The ones who had control of massive print was able to interpret reality for the masses. So the first books that was printed were spells, gospels, ghost spells. Men made books to keep their ghosts living on. These ghosts became personifications and deities that's still being worshipped today. So a congregation is a place where a collective group of consciousness gathers. Congregate mean consciousness gathering. And the people that congregate are like-minded individuals. Based upon that, they were able to practice something called crusading, where they able to spread different ideologies among different captives that they would conquer, but also have a universal doctrine among themselves. That universal doctrine is the steering wheel that controls the cattle. If you look at our world today, the Vatican would be the steering wheel of all modern, popular, Western, and even a little bit of Eastern consciousness. There's a steering wheel for all of these collective-minded groups of individuals. It's not a chaotic situation. It's order out of chaos. So, yes, there's a chaotic world where divide and conquer religious people go to war with each other, and there are many wars based on my God is better than your God, but that's the reality of those who only understand the matrix that was given to them by the ones who created the doctrine that indoctrinated them. They don't have the artist's view. The ones who create these doctrines have different doctrines to create certain rank structures even among their own secret societies. So the first degree Mason don't know what the second degree Mason knows, and the third degree Mason don't know what the fourth degree Mason know. And you will realize that it's the secrets that is the wealth. It's the knowledge that creates the rank structure. You are paid what you are paid on a job based upon what you know. And if you knew what your boss knew, then you would be the boss making the big bucks. And if the boss knew what the owner knew, he would be the owner making those big bucks. And if the owner wanted the employee at the bottom to know what he know, then he wouldn't be the owner. Everybody be masters of their own reality and know the secrets of how to own their own. But the moment they teach you the secrets, then they don't have nobody at the bottom to create this pyramid, this rank structure. The moment we all become equal, the only thing that exists is abundance, infinity. It's the dialectic that gives them their ability to rule. And by them placing themselves in between the masses and nature and distributing nature to you, sayings like if you don't work, you don't eat. That's true, but not punching their damn clock. That's a law nature gave you naturally. And now they got in between you and the river and said, if you don't work for me, I'm not going to give you none of this water that nature gave you for free. Now, nature told you if you don't work, then you don't drink, meaning if you don't get up, walk over to the river, bend down, put your hands in there and drink, you won't get the water. So it does require a little energy, meaning that if you want to eat from this tree, nature giving it to you free, but you got to walk over there and reach up there and grab it off. You have to peel that orange. And when you peel it and throw that hull on the ground, then now you giving Earth something back. Earth can't peel it. Earth don't got no hands. You are the hands for Earth. So she needs you to peel the orange, bite into it so that you can plant new orange trees. So we have a connection with the plants. We have a responsibility to be vegans and to create abundance. So when they want to create a seedless world, it's another Masonic attack to hide the balance of our reality, the fact that infinite energy is all around you and you don't have to work for nothing. The only reason you have to work because you don't know that, and the people who own the plants, they're creating energy for free and selling it for millions, and they're creating it with simple ancient designs that you can do it with. If you can get a wheel spinning, you can create energy. Remember, when you say electricity, the root word of it is El, dealing with the god El, who represents balance or the binary code. Remember that this is all representative of the triangle, meaning that left, right creates center. You need left and right to create center. And when you talk about electricity, if you look at a plug, you can see this same concept. You have a left end, right end, negative, positive, and a centered end in the middle of them both. If you outline them, you get a triangle, a vagina, a vortex, because from that plug, it absorbs your circuit. The male end goes into the wall, into that darkness, and it receives energy to power that fan or to power this microphone. So it's going into that darkness, the one that absorbs the divine feminine energy, where we get empowered to be creators. So when it says in the Bible, I go and prepare a place for you, this is the subconscious speaking to the conscious. You create your next phase. You are a seed. Your body is a seed for your soul. When it goes into the ground, it is a rebirthing of the soul into the spiritual, which is a form of you being birthed in the physical all over again. It's a marrying of the soul with a new experience and bringing in the subconscious remnants of the past one. So you never lose the record of your past realities. You carry them with you in the subconscious, and that's what keep perfecting your personality in these lifetimes. Every time you come back, you look better, you sound better, and your connection with the source is even more closer. So you're just on a journey to become back one with that which always was. All that exists is one. And we are the result of the Creator having a conversation with itself. So there's a part of the Creator where the Creator don't want to know that it's all knowing. And that's what creates the duality of the Most High. The fact that the Creator is all knowing, the Creator knows also how not to know. So this is the polarity. This goes back to why the smart man can mimic the fool, but the fool can't mimic the smart man. And why the mama can give birth to the child, but the child can't give birth to the mama, why the darkness predates the light. The Creator has an ignorant side, and without this side, there would be no existence. That's the part of the Creator that stepped on the creation as the experiencer as opposed to the Creator. During the creation process, that part of the Creator knew all. The second phase is after the artist finished with the work on the canvas, the artist will pour up a glass of wine, and the artist will actually stare at that art and get a sense of gratification and say, man. And the artist is looking at those clouds that he painted, and the artist is looking at that water that he painted, and subconsciously the artist is walking upon that canvas. The artist is the observer. The artist is what's making the waves move, even though the art on the canvas is still as still can be. The artist can tell you the temperature of the beach that's on that canvas. The artist has a connection with the art because what you see on the canvas comes from the artist's mind and is a projection. So if you think about creation, nothing is really physical, because what you call physicality is wet water and hard wood, but you say in the beginning there was darkness. So how did the Creator create physicality? How did the Creator create earth, which has what you call physical water or physical wood, physical rocks, if there was nothing physical in the beginning? How do you get something from nothing? How did the Creator pick up water to make oceans and pick up wood to build trees if there was no wood that existed? There was no trees, no water that existed. It was just darkness. Where did this stuff come from? If you say it come from darkness, I'll tell you, it didn't come or go to and fro from anywhere. It always was the thought of the darkness. What you see is all there is, and what you don't see is all there isn't. This is what makes up reality. The Creator didn't pick up rocks to make mountains because all that existed was darkness. This darkness is literally a substance that's detectable. It's an element that you can scoop up. It's a force, a governing force of all there is. And I literally believe that if we were to journey to the North Pole, you can physically see it. So when these things marry themselves in the subconscious or invisible realm, we see them in the physical realm. And understanding the connection will allow you to be the master, creator, controller of your reality. Everything you record in this lifetime, you take that with you to the darkness, and that's the seed that is planted into that soil of darkness. And the next time the light switch comes on, that will dictate what that seed is the next time. Now, the experience you have in that next phase would dictate the next one. But at any given moment when you find yourself in the center, non-transitioning in the phase what we call life right now as a human, it's a good time, because this a time where you're able to determine exactly what you want to be. The infinite encompasses the finite. That's the beauty of infinity. The all-knowing creator became Christ in the flesh, and there was a covenant made that the creator made with itself, that it will reserve a section of that all-knowingness for a level of it not knowing nothing. And it doing that to be balanced, because balance what creates this earth realm. That's an act of being humble. That's a smart person who know they know a lot, but not trying to intimidate the next person with their knowledge, but actually trying to uplift the person with it. I'm syncing together reality. This is string theory. Some call it syncretism. Remember, sin is sine, a sine wave. Crete is a form of bonding, like when you say concrete. So to sync something that synced, syncretism is the act of syncing all things together so that they become concrete and holistic, and we can see the universal message behind the thing. That will dictate everything else. When that's being misinterpreted based on the polarity, which hides the Trinity, when the polarity should get us to the Trinity based on us balancing the scales, then we create a world within a world. So even though the world is balanced, the creator has everything balanced, people are chaotic. People believe in chaotic concepts, as above, so below. So it's important for these elite members to control cosmology, because the first questions we ask is the questions about the creator and where did all of this stuff come from. And that's when we get into science, space, and cosmology. This is why NASA is a religion. This is why NASA works hand in hand with the Vatican. Space is another religion. They cannot allow you to know the real about where we are, what we are, and how it relates to the creation, because they're hiding the creator. Remember, you only define the creator based on the creation. The creator speaks to you through this creation. And if you let someone else interpret it for you, then they are telling you what the creator is. So if they giving you a creator that's foolish, dumb, and seem to don't have it all under control, you may want to question that if you continue to say that the creator is perfect, but yet clumsy enough to build a bunch of chaotic bodies floating around a vacuum without foundations. In other words, we're saying man is smart enough to build things on foundations. We're saying the Egyptians were smart enough to build the pyramids on a foundation like we do today, but the creator is too dumb to do so. Therefore, the creator have things floating around in chaos without a foundation, recklessly clashing into each other, and needs man's help in the form of a program called NASA, which takes $50+ million a day from you to help the creator steer these clumsy ass objects that he built without a foundation. The root word of foundation is FOU, dealing with fountain, because the foundation that's at the base of that pyramid supports the fountain, which is the peak or the zenith. The ground beneath your feet supports that magnetic energy, which is the pole which pitches the tent and creates the peak. The root word of tent is 10, going all the way back to 1 and 0, the alpha and omega, the binary code, 0 and 1, which all numbers start and end. 0 being a higher value than 1. 0 is the mother of all numbers. And the numbers start and end with 0. Just like a sandwich start and end with the bread. So you notice bread is sacred in religion. Give us this day our daily bread. The bread would be the beginning and the end, alpha and omega. It's the sandwich. Remember that the witch is the goddess, the Trinity, when we talk about that darkness, that balance place. So Zen, and each and every last one of us should be a citizen who have natural rights to the earth. But again, we're in cities that are matrices, and we're no longer citizens, we're slaves. We're no longer true citizens of the cosmos. We're citizens of government entities, and government means to govern the mental. And they do that by, first of all, controlling the cosmological aspect of above, which dictates everything in your life here below. So what we do with the flat earth community is very important. We get humanity back into the steering wheel. The steering wheel is you getting control of your own reality. And you can't do that if someone is at the seat of your soul and they're at the center, they're being the interpreter of what you see, and they're accessing your third eye and you're not. So if someone else that's evil is them become a mediator in between what you visually see with your eyes. In other words, if NASA can give you fake pictures that's supposed to be a true representation of the real reality outside, and they don't really add up, but you never really go outside to make sure, you just believe their pictures, then you're ignoring creation around you, believing a creation that's given to you in a book by someone who said they already looked at creation for you, so you don't need to look at it for yourself. In fact, you're not smart enough to interpret what you're seeing for yourself. Therefore, you need me to put it in a book, and you need to go to my school and pay me so I can show you something that the Creator already showed every single animal on this earth. And none of these birds had to go to a university to have this experience with the source, only man in his ignorance. If they give you a cosmology where things have no foundation, they take you away from the stillness of the Creator. When you see the earth God gave laid out there, he looked like he's in paradise, because a pair of dice is 5 and 5 equaling 10, which is Zen, the binary code, the covenant that you broke when you allowed them to ball Gab up. When you allowed them to ball it up, you begin to worship the evil forms of the God that they gave you in patriarchal societies. Because in a patriarchal society, the power can only be sustained if the people at the top know something you don't know, and they can rule you out of ignorance and chaos. What better way to do it than to disconnect you from the creation story of yourself and don't show you how you relate to the very deity that created you? What better way than to misinterpret and distort reality by reinterpreting what you're seeing through your eyes with CGI to show you that the Creator is chaos, so that if you think the Creator is think that much of you to put you in a chaotic creation, then it's no wonder we're so chaotic when it comes to each other. Because we think that the Creator has no compassionate heart based on this violent cosmology that we were indoctrinated with. But the ancients had a still cosmology. They knew that the ground beneath their feet was still and foundated, and that the North Pole was a fountain that was supported by that foundation. The root word for, F-O-U, dealing with the four corners of a pyramid, which supports the zenith. The ground beneath you supports the hole at the center of the earth, which projects all of the night sky upward from the inward realm. So the ancestors spoke of a place called the North Pole, where the cosmic mother sits, where the great womb, the great absorber, the black hole concept that they give you in the heliocentric cosmos actually literally exists at the North Pole, where your compass is telling you to go. Whatever happens at the center of the earth happens at the center of the human. So there's more than one way to take this trip. So yes, we got to physically take the trip, but we won't physically take it until we spiritually take it. This is why the controllers of your reality are able to control militaries of men like minions based on invisible spirituality. In other words, armies of the world go to war and kill each other. Men kill physical men who they can touch, who they can feel, because they are indoctrinated with invisible concepts. This is the spell. This is the ghost spell. The original text that created all of the world religions was the binder. The books is the bond that broke the covenant with the Creator and gave us a covenant with man who created the book. The book is the mediator between you and nature. You read all of the books of man in your lifetime, and you still don't know what the humble hummingbird knows. You still don't know. You college students who think you're so smart, you still don't know what the Amazonian bushman knows. You still don't know what the African shaman knows about the cosmos. because you are stuck within a science that separates the creator from the creation. And when you do that, you will never unlock the mysteries of reality. So how do the ancient ancestors teach one to become one with themselves? In other words, to become holy. The word holy means when the subconscious of a human marries the consciousness of a human. When the part of you that asks the questions about things it don't know marries the part of you that knows everything that is learned through experience. And where balance is achieved, heaven is manifested. In other words, you have to be smart enough to never stop finding answers, and you have to be humble enough with your smarts to never stop asking questions. And this degree of knowing and not knowing that balances out the creator and creates the very reality that you see, and everything plays out in that fashion, being that parts of the human knows everything. When you look at an elderly person, they're very wise, but they still don't know what the heart knows that's beating in the center of them, because the heart has a consciousness of its own, and your whole body is a group of members that have a contract with each other to keep you in existence. The moment one of those bodily members or one of those organs breach that contract, the body falls apart. We broke the contract with Mother Nature. Remember that the human body is the temple of the Most High, and the earth is the sanctuary where we tap into the energies and information of that primordial source by interacting with the creation. So when you go to the temples of man, you interact with the book, which binds you to the text, which is the messenger, which is the God, when nature should be the guide. The churches are cleaner than the water you drink, and your children are going to inherit an earth where people give more energy to things that serve rich men as opposed to the whole. They don't plan on you asking questions. That's why the moment you ask one question, none of it makes sense, because they was banking on you not questioning. The question is your savior. When you create its polarity and marry it with itself, it becomes the light bulb, which is the idea, the new invention. You can't say that what modern technology has today is more important than the bulky things that they were birthed from, because if it wasn't for those things, which was the original concept, that wouldn't be the more sleeker modern things. And behind all of the modern interfaces is still the simple, basic, what you would call primordial information. It's simply balance. I'm giving you back ancient ways to look at reality. And these are holistic ways that are begin to tie everything together. Your ability to put all the puzzle pieces back together will determine your level of holiness or your level of oneness. You're only limited by your own perception. The attempt to divide up the masses was an attempt to divide up the sciences, divide up the studies. There's only one study, and that's the study of all. All of the subjects you got in school, they're not subjects, they're just tools that are used to study the all. Science is a tool. Just like a hammer is a tool that's used to build a house, science is a tool that's used to study the all. Just like a magnifying glass is a tool that's used to study the microscopic. These are tools or methods by which we approach the thought processes to dictate the result of the investigation. This is very important because this is what would define reality. And based on what we all agree on, we would definitely see manifested on its surface. That's why the consciousness of humanity have changed along with the architecture and the landscapes of humanity. We create our world from within, not from without. And this happened on all different levels. After you do an investigation and you find out what you found out, you're going to have another question based on that fact. And it'll never end. And the moment it do, creation will stop. This dance is the music that creates life itself, y'all. And it's just happening on a micro and macro. It's a continuum. It's a result of the original echo or vibration when the creator first had this dialogue. This whole discussion we having is the knowing and the unknowing. If you think of the beginning when it was darkness, now we have the creation and you have no one to observe the creation. So think of the earth with no life on it. What would the earth look like with no life on it? It would be simply darkness, because everything is life. If you want to know what a lifeless earth look like, complete darkness, because the sun is a living being giving it light. The moon is a living being, and all of the things above is dependent on the things below. We're not separate from those luminaries above, and the microscopic reality is not separate from our reality. You know, you're composed of microscopic cells and microscopic bacteria that's making you the physical human. If you take all those things away, then the human body I'm looking at will vanish. You're the direct result of the microscopic world that you emanating from. And if you can look at our world as the microcosm of the stars above, we're just a microscopic world that's emanating from that bigger world above. But here's the thing, neither world is bigger than the next one. Just like neither link on the chain is bigger than the next one. Based on where you are on the chain, when you look up and down, you will know where you are in the cosmos based on that sequential order of the links. But what happens when a link is broken in a cosmos that's not physical? Because everything is spirit. The creator didn't create nothing with physical material. We have a concept of physicality. The creator don't and never have. There was never a concept of physicality. The ancestors knew we are spirit. If the creator created this creation out of darkness, nothing existed. So everything is pure thought, pure consciousness, vibrating. Evidence of that intelligence at play can be seen when you look at the circuit and perfect balance of the celestial bodies. When you look at the intelligence of the dirt that knows when you put the seed in there to grow whatever fruit you're trying to grow, there's an intelligence everywhere. So there's no earth that's lifeless, because what we call life is a symbiotic construct that is so fragile and intricate. If we take all the dang on ants off of the earth, life will cease to exist, and eventually we'll go all the way back to darkness and nothingness, because that's all that essentially exists is nothingness. The creator is in darkness having a dialogue with itself. It's the dual aspect and the infinite balance of the creator that just makes me know the creator is so awesome. It's not enough for the creator to know it all. The creator says, I want to know how not to know as well. I want to know how it feels like for me to be the byproduct of the creation and for me to be dependent on myself. In other words, the creator projected inwards to have a dialogue with itself based on sacrificing part of its consciousness that knew it all to fake like it knows nothing. The part of the creator that knows it all and the part that knows nothing marries themselves and the light comes on. The creator sacrificed 50% of the all-knowing to give 50% of unknowing, because when you say all-knowing, that's infinity. So even if you divide that and leave 50% for unknowing, you still got infinity. Think of the genie in the lamp. If the genie comes up to you and say, I give you 3 wishes, what you want your wishes to be, the smart person will say, hey, I wish to have infinite amount of wishes. And now you can keep wishing forever. So just the fact that the creator all knowing, it can sacrifice. All you need is 1% of all knowing, and you can have 90% of ignorance, and you will still have infinity. Amounts in infinity only equals out to be perception. Like, how do you measure anything within infinity? That's just a matter of perception. That's why no two people can agree on the same amount. No two people can measure the same way. When we talk about the creator of it all can't be measured because the creator is the ruler. But when the creator that knew everything sacrificed half of itself to know nothing, a dialogue began and a covenant was made. The creator said, I'm going to always stay humbled and stay grounded with all of my all-knowing knowledge. And I'm going to have this part reserved to stay balanced. Because even though I know it all, I need to know how not to know to maintain my omniscience. The moment I lose my ability to not know, I no longer know it all. So the wise man isn't the wise, arrogant dude who know it all. The wise man is the wise, humble dude who knows to keep questioning. So the part of the creator that's represented by the light or the consciousness is the part of the creator, the lesser God, the part of the creator that projected itself to this realm to enjoy blissful ignorance. But also while doing that, the subconscious part of that creator that exists within this body records the experience and interpret it back to the all-knowing source so it constantly perfects itself. It's beautiful, y'all. Only thing make it chaotic is us not understanding what I'm telling you today and it being hidden by a small group of men. Once the majority get back balanced, then it'll be a disease or a cancer that annihilates their matrix. Because nature always seeks to balance itself out. It can only be suppressed for so long. And I'm a direct result that that's true. I didn't know I was going to be talking about the stuff that I'm talking about 2 years ago, a year ago. So I'm going within myself, being led. I'm on my own quest, and I'm tapping back into that primordial source, hoping that I'm playing my role in this lifetime. Because what we do in this reality echo in the nets, that's another way of saying the string theory. The part of the creator that decided to know limited things held the part of itself that knew everything within the part of itself that had limited understanding. And as a result, the human was created. And what we call the human was created simultaneously with the earth, because the earth is just the one body that the many cells called the human exist in. So just like your body and everything within your body was created simultaneously, just like the humans and everything within the cosmos was created simultaneously. It was one big thing. There's no beginning and no end to it, because the infinite part that you perceive as a beginning is just the darkness that held the seed that you can't see. The intelligence is what you can't see. The intelligence is what tells the seed to turn into a tree. You see the tree, but you don't see the intelligence. You see the crown on the king's head, but you don't see the wisdom that led to that physical representation of why he earned it. So here's the thing. You see the human, which is divine technology, intelligence, man. I'm talking about some of the most high-tech technology in the cosmos is the human, and it's the direct representation of the hidden creator. We didn't make humans. We didn't make them clouds. We are created by the all-knowing. Therefore, we can't be separate from the all-knowing. But we are here as representatives of that source in a duat. When the Most High stepped onto the stage of the earth from above, the earth was the stage and the human was the vehicle by which the Most High would use to experience its creation. So the human consciousness was the vehicle that would be used by the creator to experience and interpret its creation back to itself. Now, when we say interpret it back to itself, every human being asks the fundamental questions about reality in their lifetime. As a result, these questions lead us on a life quest in our value system, moral system, traditions, and codes of conduct. And they dictate our whole reality based on a connection from the subconscious realm or the hidden reality. The creator is the overall creation or the collective consciousness. Everything there is as a collective is the creator. Every human, whether he be evil or good, is a form of the creator. Whether that creator be off balance or halfway balanced, or when you think about the different temperatures of water, they can vary from 0 to 100, going back to the binary code 0 to 10. These are the different phases of the moon, or the different realms of perception that are confined within infinity, or the different colors of the rainbow that emanate from the light, which is born from the darkness. So the Trinity is darkness, light, color. You got your night sky, then you got your luminaries or your light beings. We see things start to get colorful as we enter this middle point, then they get back dark again as we go under the ground. So it's a sandwich effect, as above, so below. We start off with the night sky, and as we get closer to our atmosphere and us, color begin to take place with the blueness of the sky, the different colors of the rainbow that we see in the sky, as a result of showing you that the earth realm is where all of these entities bond to create Midgard. This is a realm of color. Every color on the rainbow exists on earth, but when you get out there in the darkness, what all of these colors come from only exists. The pure thought, what started it all, which is darkness. And as you travel into the earth, you go back to darkness until you reach another realm that way, because going down is going up is going down when you're traveling on a chain of infinity. When we get free spiritually, we will begin to rise up physically. And when we take the quest and ask the question spiritually, they will lead to the physical expeditions, as they always did in history during the time of Columbus and the early voyagers who set off to find more worlds. So the secret of the Mason is the fact that this earth is infinite, and that there are other lands being hidden from you, other societies. Space is around you, not above you. When you look above you, you're just looking in the mirror of a macrocosm reflection of what you are. So when you go back to these architectural pictures that we see in Freemason, which shows you the bodies of water by these architectural structures, they're telling you the mirror dynamic of the cosmos. You're not in a physical reality. It's a holographic light reality. And when we talk about light, we're talking about weight as well. And that's why the feather is on my head, because the lightest form of light is darkness. Darkness is a form of light. Light is actually the act of projecting consciousness, linear consciousness being projected from the darkness and getting dense and dense as it manifests art upon the canvas. And where the pen meets the canvas, meaning where the artist looks at a blank canvas and begin the first step of creation, when the first stroke begin on the canvas would be the first night light being turned on in the sea of darkness. And from that is a projection all the way down to us, where all of these lesser forms of the same expression, or should I say higher forms, because they're one of the same. To be weak is to be strong. To be strong is to be weak. Some people will never understand that concept. To explain it, if you look at swans, I believe, the way they fly in a V shape, because the strongest bird lead the tip of the zenith of the pyramid. So the pyramid shape is sacred even by the animals. These birds make a chevron, and they actually make one big bird out of a bunch of birds. So this is a continuum within itself. The fact that Earth is a body, it's a cosmos made out of a bunch of bodies like us, and even our individual bodies are made out of individual bodies called cells, and this thing is a fractal reality. When you look at a swarm of birds in the sky, the bird at the tip of the zenith, that individual bird is the strongest bird in the group. He flaps his wings the strongest, creating the hugest vortex in the wind. And the next two strongest birds, who weaker than him, go behind him, because based on their level of strength, they ain't as strong as him. They're a little weaker, but they stronger than the other birds behind them. They use the wind from the strongest bird to help them out so they don't have to use that much flapping energy. And the other two birds that's behind them use the wind because they less weaker than them, and they help them out with the vortex they make, which is now even stronger because they got a vortex coming from the first bird wing flapping, who the strongest one, and the next two strongest behind him doubling up that vortex and using his, and the next two behind him tripling up that vortex, feeding that energy all the way back to the less weaker birds at the end who can't flap their wings as heavier, but they getting so much wind energy they don't have to, because by the time the vortex get back there to them, it's so strong that the whole structure, this whole swarm, is one body that's created by the strongest man helping out the weak man, because the weak man got a lesson to teach the strong man. What good is the strong man's strength if he don't use it? It's a vanity. Goes back to the creator being all-knowing without knowing how not to know and experience the creation that you created. So what good is the strong man having energy if he can't help the weak? And what good if the weak, if they can't teach a lesson to the strong? So the elderly is looked at as the weak. They would need the help of the youth to aid them at this phase, just like in the beginning phase, the baby needed the help of the mother, which was the elder to the infant. This act of seniority is the chain that keeps reality woven together. And we can see it microcosm, macrocosm. The phases of the human mirror the phases of the moon. It's the dragon chasing its tail, because the student is the teacher. Because the more that the student learns, the more the student teaches. And the teacher just keep on teaching because the teacher keep on studying being the student. The circular sequential order, what we've known to perceive as time, which really should be rhyme, because it's not really linear time as much as it is circular rhythm. It's a spiral type dance, which is the root word of spiritual or spiral ritual or sphere ritual, because you can mimic this hypnotic effect that's produced by the creator and create your own matrix, just like they did with the first solar system, which resembles the hypnotization spiral. So anytime you come in between the interpretation of reality as it is given to the masses, you assume the throne of the Most High, because the Most High created humans with an inner dwelling consciousness that if nobody would have never led you astray, you would have known how to interact with this creation better than the smartest man think he ever will with all of his degrees. When we're placed into the earth soil and we become parallel with the plane and we begin to take our trip, where do we go? We go nowhere. And nowhere is simply now here, because we always exist now and here. But the reason we have a hellish world today is because we lack these ancient principles, and we lack concepts of simple balance and centering the self, tapping into the darkness, the universal energies of consciousness that connects us all. We too busy focusing on things that divides us. We're in an ego-filled world, and a matrix has been created on top of our true world, but that matrix only exists in your mind, and our true world is right outside. It's ours for the taking, and we will take it back the moment we eject ourselves from their system and tap back into the heart chakra, because earth is heart, and to live properly in the heart of the creator is to tap into the heart of yourself by creating acts of kindness, goodness, compassion, listening to the consciousness in you that's telling you when you know you're doing wrong. Your violence should be toward those who have something against peace. Your violence is justified if it's to restore balance. If you have to take some violent action, so that balance can be restored on the earth, that's a result of the elite taking violent action to produce chaos on the earth. The first war starts spiritually before you will ever get to the physical war. And it goes back to why I said they are able to control world militaries based on world religions. Because as above, so below. It starts in the heart of man. Remember, Masons say that they build their nations in the heart of man, and man in return go and build kingdoms for those whom he serve. But every man should be serving the greater good of the community, serving Mother Nature as a whole. This is the symbiotic relationship we should have, as opposed to us all serving the elite. Videos like this is to expose the deception, the agenda, the objective, the mechanisms used to hypnotize the subconscious and hijack the third eye, hijack the seat of the soul, the throne of the Most High, which is the consciousness of man, which is ruled by the method of as above, so below. Those who interpret your reality will control it. You are the master of your reality. So I'm here to give us back eyes to see so that we can find our way in the darkness. New uploads every Thursday. Peace and much love.